Hey guys, it's Dotson with another Low Poly Panda gaming review. This time we're looking at F1 Manager 2022. It's available now for everything but the Switch and Mac, and it's our first official F1 Manager game in, 22 years? Let's just put it this way. The last time F1 Manager came out, Michael Schumacher wasn't a Ferrari champ, and Yuki Tsunoda wasn't even born yet. Let's get into it. First up, let me get my bias out of the way. I'm a huge F1 nerd. That being said, I've never gotten into management games. Motorsport Manager I've dabbled with, but never really touched any other sports management games. Going into this, I knew it was going to be a departure from games I normally play, and wildly different from F1 22. But how different is it? First up, let's hit graphics. Everything I've seen for management games had me really kind of expecting passable graphics, but obviously it's not a focus since the graphics are just there to kind of play out the visual representation of how bad you messed up your sliders in the minigames. To my surprise, though, the game looks really good on Unreal Engine. The character models, the tracks, the cars, they all look great. The character models especially stuck out to me because F122 just has a really bad take on a lot of their faces. Reviewing this on the PS5, though, I did notice some jagged edges and shadows clipping while I was playing. Some slightly jank animations, like the cars just snap steering, and it's not as smooth as it should be. But again, graphics aren't the focus of this, so as a management sim, I'm very happy with it. Next up, though, we got audio. And I thought it was the coolest thing that they pulled audio from the actual drivers and the race teams, so that when I load up my Aston Martin career, I can actually hear radio clips of Sebastian Vettel, which is awesome. Not so much the Lance Stroll part. But what I noticed on probably my third race is most of the time it's just a very depressed Vettel, because he's in an Aston Martin, going copy to everything, minus some other lines when something happens, or during practice when he's telling me I did an okay job with the car setup, or ruined it. Car sounds are passable, but nothing really to write home about. There's more voice acting than anything else in the game. All communications, the tutorials you go through at the beginning, they're well done. The commentators loading into a track or a session that talk about history of the track, it's all good. Honestly, though, I'd turn off all the sound and just have podcast and music going in the background after the first few races. There's nothing to really complain about outside of the few audio bugs I had. Audio not playing and very repetitive.
Copy.
I hear from Vettel and Stroll, but maybe it's better with other teams that have more of an audio library. The part everyone cares about, though, is gameplay. Starting the game was, half an hour of getting acclimated to everything, setting up my facilities before ever getting into my first actual race. There's plenty of assist, and you can be as hands-on as you'd like to be. You can let the AI sim practice setting up the car, qualifying, and even take care of one of the drivers while you only handle the other one during the race. Naturally, I said, I know better than them, took over everything, and it can be daunting. But you realize it's kind of all mini-games, effectively. It's a mini-game to manage your cash and scouting at the beginning while figuring out what upgrades are worth it. Essentially, the way I started is I built a memorabilia room right away, as it had a big benefit with minimal investment, scouted a new driver to replace Lance, and then figured out who my tech and aero leads were going to be, because the guys that came with Aston were, I think, mid-60s. I then started development on a new underbody and new wing, as they had the greatest effect, once developed on change. And by the second race, I believe it was, I had a free suspension upgrade that I had to manufacture spares of, and I'm glad I did, because Vettel got put into the wall, and it cost me about $1.2 million in parts. Managing stuff like that is something you don't normally think about, and it's nice to have that in a game. I really enjoy that part of it. I wish it was a little bit more in-depth. Creating a part, though, is never really as in-depth as you'd like it to be. Actually managing how many engineers you're going to have on it, how much CFD time you're going to spend on it, how much wind tunnel time you're going to spend on it, and what kind of focus you're going to have, whether it's for the low-speed corners, high-speed, that's all great, but there's never a chance of failure. Your parts will always come out exactly how it says that they're going to come out, and I've never experienced, at least not yet, any time where it's like, hey, we got this wrong and this one's actually going to suck for the next track. It's always, hey, you put enough CFD and you put enough wind tunnel time on it with these 5 engineers, guess what? You got this great front wing now, and that's what you get to use. So the creation of parts, managing the contracts, scouting a new talent, and managing the car are all pretty good. Practice, It's just a game of moving sliders on a car about every 15 laps to try and get the best setting possible, then hoping your driver can convert that setup in qualifying. You drop into the race, and you get to set up your strategy. That's where the problem comes in for me. The problem right now is that strategy is worthless. The first few races, I was swapping mediums and hards and softs when I thought whatever was best. Safety cars come out, I take a free pit stop, I put them on the soft for some fast lap times, but I could never finish higher than 14th, even with retirements. But in my fourth race, I ran into the risk of rain, and under safety car and a few drops, I used the free pit stop to switch to inners. Rain ended up not coming, but my guy was still setting similar times to everybody else instead of losing his ass with those Green Bandit tires. Come to find out, tires really don't have much up between them. Go medium and then hard on a one-stop strategy every race, and you're going to pick up some points. You start in the rain and it dries, just finish it on inners because you won't lose much. You manage ERS, gas, and how aggressive your driver is on the tires during the race. There are some team commands like, hey, don't pass or defend. And when you pit is obviously up to you. If there is a safety car, which 2 of my first 5 didn't have any retirements at all, you can make that split-second decision to bring them in or not, which kind of adds another level to it. Unfortunately, like I said, with the broken tires right now, it doesn't matter much. The races come down effectively to ERS management. You gotta choose when to deploy, overtake, defend, or harvest. I did, however, find myself watching my drivers race when they were within DRS of another driver. Instead of letting the game play out at the 16 times speed that you could do from an overhead map just to see where you finished, I was invested in a real-time race going on in front of me. You rinse and repeat that 20-plus times a season to try and hit the board objectives, which could be something as, hey, win the championship, or just get some podiums, get some points, or if you're a backmarker team like Williams or Aston Martin, just go out there and have fun, guys. I think I have 3 years with Aston Martin to finish half of the races with at least a point. Not exactly lofty goals for spending this much money. At the end of the season, you deal with contract renewals, technical regulation changes, even switching engine suppliers if you're not one of the factory works teams. So RBR, Ferrari, Mercedes, and Alpine don't get this choice, but the 6 customer teams, they get a little more customization. And even though I have the urge to go to Ferrari and actually give them some hope this year, I think I'll get more enjoyment out of bringing Aston Martin up the field and getting Vettel another championship. This time maybe with a Ferrari-powered Aston Martin. But here at Low Poly Panda, we tell you whether a game is worth buying, waiting on a sale, or just skipping it. So where does F1 Manager fall? None of the above. I'd say buy, but don't buy right now. Let them fix the tire problem. The fundamental racing in this is broken. As a first game out, don't really know how long it's going to take to fix that. Maybe it'll be on sale by the time it gets fixed. Maybe it'll still be full price. It's worth getting if you're an F1 nerd, but just know that right now, until the tires get fixed, it's broken. As always, we appreciate the view. Let us know in the comments what you'd like to see next, and we'd love to hear if you agree with us on this review and your thoughts on the game. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.